Now, you're coming to us from London this week. Obviously, the UK has signed up to this, and Keir Starmer was one of the first to sort of embrace this. What does it mean for Australia? Because obviously, in Donald Trump's language, you know, he's got no time for freeloaders when it comes to alliance relationships, and they'll continue to put the pressure on Australia to lift its spending.
It's a huge problem for Australia because there was one NATO member that refused to sign up to this agreement, and that was Spain. Spain has a socialist or a Labor government in Australian parlance. They refused to sign up to it. And so Trump took quite a swing at the Spanish government, saying, if Spain's not prepared to pull its weight, then we'll make them pay for it through higher tariffs on Spanish exports to the United States. So if you have a look at Australia, the Treasurer Jim Chalmers says that we shouldn't be spending much more money on defence, that they've made the commitment. But our figure is around 2% of GDP. We have a government similar to the Spanish government, which wants to do the same thing and keep spending down. And instead, as I often say, spend money on windmills. Fair enough. But in the end, I think the Americans will take a very dim view of that. And this at a time when we're worried about the AUKUS review, and we're saying we want to be able to take some of the American Virginia-class submarines from their production line. So we want things, but we're not prepared to give to the alliance in the way that most of the NATO countries are. That's going to be a problem for Australia.
Yeah, let's have a look at what the Deputy Prime Minister and Defence Minister Richard Marles has said. He was in the Netherlands.
Obviously, a very significant decision has been made here in relation to European defence spending, and that is fundamentally a matter for NATO. We've gone through our own process of assessing our strategic landscape, assessing the threats that exist there, and the kind of defence force we need to build in order to meet those threats, to meet the strategic moment, and then to resource that. And what that has seen is the biggest peacetime increase in Australian defence spending that we have seen in our history.
Yeah, now, Alexander, what troubles me about what we hear from Albanese and Richard Marles and the rest of them is, to use an American expression, they're just giving the stiff arm to these overtures from Washington. They're rejecting it. And all they're doing, so they're not offering to give our alliance partners anything. They're just asking to get. You know, they want tariff cuts. They want AUKUS submarines. They're not offering to contribute anything to the alliance. And to me, that's not going to go down well in Washington at all.
Well, I think the Labor Party has always had reservations about the alliance. You can see within the Labor movement huge amounts of criticism endlessly of Donald Trump, the sneering at Trump, at the Trump administration, which, by the way, was elected by a majority of the American people. So sneering at them might be all right with the fellow travellers of the Democratic Party in the United States, but the majority of people support Trump. And you know, we have to live with whoever becomes the president of the United States if we believe in democracy. And if we believe in alliances, we have to make a contribution, not just receive protection from the United States. And I mean, the problem with Australia at the moment is it's not seen to be making a commensurate contribution to the alliance. And if you think you've got problems in Europe with Russia, there's huge concern, including in Washington, about China and the aggression of the Communist Party of China. So Australia is expected to pull its weight, and so far, I think, so for viewers, it's worth reflecting on this. We have no missile defence capability, and you can see from the last few weeks how incredibly effective missile defence is. So I don't think we're seen to be taking defence and the alliance seriously enough.
Yeah, well said, Alexander. Thanks so much for joining us.